Hi everyone, I'm super excited for this video because I get to talk about books. You're such a nerd. Thanks for the compliment, I guess. Hi, my name is Danielle, and I really like reading books. As a book lover, I find it really difficult to not buy my friends and family books. Books that I know they'll love, but probably won't ever read because they're not a reader like me. It makes me really sad. But that being said, I do feel like there are certain books that everybody should read in their lifetime. I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I'm gonna show you books, must-reads for the non-reader. And I split them into categories because I know every person is not the same. They don't like the same books. But first, I think we need to go through the typical books that if you haven't read yet, what are you doing with your life type feel. And mainly, when I say this, I'm talking about Harry Potter. If you haven't read Harry Potter, what are you doing? Even if you watch the movies, that's great, but you still need to read at least the first book. I saw the movies before I read the books because they came out before I was old enough to start reading the books, and I love both in different ways, but you gotta read the Harry Potter series. What are you doing? I think one of my high school English teachers, they were like 30, 35, and they read the series and they loved it. Even if you're at that age or you're at an older age and you got kids, read it to your kids. They'll love it and you'll love it, and great bonding experience. You're welcome. If you're not really into that, something that I think might help you is this gigantic piece of art. The illustrated editions, I think just the first 3 are out, but each year a new one comes out. So, if you really need to spend a year reading them, you can. And they have pretty illustrations in them, randomly dispersed through the book. Yeah, and they're really cool. I feel like this is one that I would recommend to everyone also because even if you have seen the movies, there's actually a lot of stuff that you miss that is nice to know. So yeah, there you go. In that same boat, I would say also one of Dan Brown's books, but Da Vinci Code, probably the most popular one. I have not read this book yet. I just read Angels and Demons, which technically comes before this book because it was published before. Any one of them you could really read and you wouldn't miss anything. Also, especially this book in particular because it's a special illustrated edition, so there's also pictures. One more I have of these. Oh god. Any John Green book. These are the 4 I have read, and I would say that they are all meant for a different type of person. Different people would like each book better. So, let's just go through them really quick. The only other book that's specifically by him and him alone is An Abundance of Catherines, and I haven't read that, so I don't really know what type of person would like that. I'll get there eventually. Starting with The Fault in Our Stars, I'd say this is for the person that typically likes romantic stories. If you're a fan of The Notebook, you'll probably like this one. Next, Paper Towns. This is more for the person that's like the adventurer, the kind of person that likes puzzles and treasure hunts and those types of stories, but it's still lighthearted and probably the funniest John Green book, I would say. Looking for Alaska is a special case. It's definitely a darker story than the other ones, I would say. It's also funny. All of John Green's books are funny. That's why I'm recommending them. He is a really great writer. This one in particular is very thought out and interesting, very intriguing. And last but not least is his most recent book, Turtles All the Way Down. This one is different in the sense that it gives you a closer look into the main character's mind. This can be a tough read for some people. I would say tread lightly with this one, but it was very good as well. Those are my must-reads for all non-readers or readers. But the first actual category I have that I have made up in my head is the person that loves reality TV shows. The type of people that like real life things, whether that's completely accurate or not, whether that's satirical or not. People that like getting, the behind the scenes look. The first book I have, which I'm currently reading, is Talking as Fast as I Can by Lauren Graham. And if you're a big fan of Gilmore Girls, she talks a lot about the original Gilmore Girls and then the remake they just did on Netflix. But also she talks a lot about her early life, her life as an actor and stuff like that. I feel like she's just a very relatable person. So yeah, that's this one. And the other book I have to recommend is Everything is Awful by Matt Bellassai. If you don't know who this is, how do I explain his amazingness? He started working off at BuzzFeed, and he made videos where he just complained about a bunch of stuff, and it's hilarious. Then he started his own Facebook page, Matt Bellassai, and still complains about stuff, and it's still glorious. And this book was just as good. If you're a fan of Matt Bellassai, a fan of laughing, a fan of feeling secondhand embarrassment, or really if you just want to hear someone complain about a bunch of stuff, this is the book for you. Okay, those are the 2 books I have for that category. I don't typically read a lot of books like this, so that's all I can really recommend. I have also heard Amy Poehler's book is good too. Just gonna put that out there. The next category I have is for the typical fangirl. You know, if you like your drama, TV shows, your love triangles, you're definitely on the bandwagon of all the major franchises and stuff like that, these are the books for you. The first one I have is aptly named Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. Title pretty much says it all. But to give you a little background, she is a first-year college student who writes fan fiction about this series that's kind of similar to Harry Potter. She's a fangirl, and I found it really relatable going into my first year of college and being on social media and stuff like that. And if you end up liking this book, she also wrote another book called Carry On, which I think is the fan fiction that the main character writes in this story. I would say for this one, don't get discouraged because it is kind of long, but really when you're reading a book, you shouldn't feel stressed about finishing it. You know, just take your time. Read when you want to read. Don't force yourself to read when you don't want to read. But in the end, I think you'll end up enjoying this book. So yeah, I recommend this one. And another one I have for you is Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. I could not make this video without recommending one of her books, and I feel like this is the best one I could recommend. A lot of people have issues with the first few books of her other series, even though that is my favorite series. But this one would be the one to start off with if you're a major fangirl. It's got all the drama, and it is so good, and she is such a hilarious writer. I can't praise her enough. It's actually a trilogy, so no pressure, but it gets better as it goes. It's set in, I think, the 1800s in the UK in London, and like all the hot British guys. I'm trying not to get you too hyped up for this book, but I can't help it because I really like it. And there are some love interests, there is some ass kicking, there's some magical things. You got all of your typical fangirl things. Side note about not this series, but the other series that I'm mentioning, The Mortal Instruments. There has been a movie made about it with Lily Collins. Kill me, love her. That a lot of the readers were disappointed with, but I do like the first half of it anyway. That got killed. Then a freeform TV show called Shadowhunters about the same series that failed started. I would not recommend you watch that unless you want to laugh a lot. If you have seen either of those things and you agree with me, don't think that this book is anything like that. So yeah. Anyway, the last category I have is for the total nerd. If you're a nerd like me and you love reading about science and stuff like that, you'll love these books, I hope. The first one I have is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. If you heard of this, it's probably because a movie just came out that's directed by Steven Spielberg. I can't speak for the movie because I haven't seen it. I also kind of can't speak for this book because I haven't read it yet. But I've heard plenty of good reviews. I'm told it's very good, so I have the total confidence to recommend it to you if you're also a fan of gaming and just like virtual reality too. And the last recommendation, I had to put it somewhere in this video, and I feel like this is the best place where it belongs, and that is The Martian by Andy Weir. Yeah, it's just awesome. And even the movie's good too. If you want to watch the movie, I'll give you a free pass on this one, but you honestly missed all the cool science-y explanations he gives for this, all the chemistry, and he goes through a lot more shit in this book than he does in the movie. They don't show at all. And it's even funnier, I would say, than the movie. I don't know how he does it. Maybe I just have like some weird addiction to this, but I love it, and I hope you do too. So those are all my recommendations, and I hope you read one of these books. If you have read one of these books and you're a non-reader, let me know what you thought of it down below. Let me know if you agree or if you think my recommendation is total. That's cool too. And if you're a reader, go ahead and recommend some more books down below, or also call me out too if you think I'm wrong on some of these recommendations. Fire all the shots, I don't even care. But yeah, I guess that's it for this video. I hope you enjoy the books. Okay, bye. I don't know. I wouldn't recommend it.